Want me to join it here?
Yeah, I was just going ahead and putting some information up in the.
Well,
Yeah, but yeah, so that way if my computer crashes or something, we can.
We'll be automatically, okay.
We can just go directly over there. Um,
And I don't know whether we'll need to put that chart up or not. He incorporated.
Yeah, does he want to put his stuff up? I kept asking.
And he didn't respond.
Mm-mm.
I think sometimes they conflate the two of us. Even though it comes from a different email, it's like if I've answered Mary, then I've answered the question without seeing it. I don't know, but I could be wrong. Something went wrong. Can't make or get calls right now. Interesting, huh? But I need to be on mute. Should I turn my volume way down?
Yeah, just turn it all the way off.
Oh. There. Okay. That was weird. Why was my thing doing? I've had to pee like 60 times today. Not 60, but.
Hi, Mary. This is Sylvia. Just want to double check and make sure that you can hear me and I can hear you.
The silk sherbet. I'm doing well, thank you. I'm really swamped and I'm in a big writing project, so I had not planned on it, but I can do that. This is for Shepherd, right? I did. Yeah, I did. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, I have. Well, if my name is going to be called out, then that would be rude for my not being there. So I will certainly make an attempt. I think I have those things online. I can go in line, or you could just, make a note that I will be there. What's the time for it? Store Ballroom, noon, 26. Well, I'll put that on my calendar right now, and I'll be there. All right, thank you. Bye. 26.
Hi, Meredith. Hi, Sylvia.
Oh, great. I'm just so delighted to hear someone. Thank you. I didn't know whether I was actually in or not. I cannot see, I have my camera turned on. And so are you able to see me?
No, I don't see you. I can hear you just fine, but I can't see you.
Well, I guess it doesn't matter then, as long as, but I've got the little thing for camera and I'll click it, but then it looks like I'm turned off. But then I see that I have SS up there, so I'll leave it like that. If I click it off to turn it on, there's no picture there, so not sure why the audio isn't coming on. So I'll just click it off, and then it has SS. That's good enough.
Okay. Meredith, are you going to want to share any screen or anything? Okay. And Meredith, did you see my note that neither Tiffany or Michelle will be here, so I can just give a quick update, or you can give a quick update? It's up to you. You're muted, yeah.
Okay,
So,
I did not see that note, and I will definitely let you. I don't have any updates, so I'll let you do that.
Yes.
Hey, Travis.
Hello.
Travis,
And then the other thing is I put it in the chat and it's on the agenda, but just when you get started, Meredith, remind everyone that we are recording it. So.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So I think people sent in a number of reports. How do we want to handle those? Those full reports probably should just be attached to the minutes. That seems to be the best way to do it so that I don't reinterpret anything or anything like that. Does that sound okay, Mary?
So yes, just go ahead and attach. I know Aaron Guest sent one, but then I revised that, so I'll make sure after this meeting tomorrow I'll send you the revised.
Okay. Well, what I've noticed, and I don't know how many of the reports have come in, but they've come in sporadically here and there and yonder. And I think they were addressed to y'all, right? How many reports have come in so I can what to look for?
Just Aaron Guest sent me a report today. I don't know if he sent it to the larger group or not.
Okay, well, I will wait until, I think I have seen at least one report or somebody answered, you know, thank you very much or whatever. I'm going to rely on you then to attach the reports to the minutes, if that's okay. Thank you.
I will do that.
And do we only have so we have reports for this conversation from Aaron? Is that the only person that I'm pointing to? Because Aaron and then Ann on behalf of the
and Mary.
Right.
I have verbal, it's just I was put on here, so just a little verbal something. There's Aaron Gass.
Okay.
Aaron, do you need to share your screen at all for yours?
No, if you want to put it up, you can. I mean, I don't trust that my screen will share is what I'm, because
I have the same problem.
Okay, let me then.
But we don't have to, I mean, mine's going to be just very.
You'll just talk about what you want to talk from the report is.
Yeah, I'm just going to hit the high points.
Okay, then that's fine. Then we won't bother bogging people down with numbers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Aaron, to make sure that I have numbers and things correct, maybe your report you should send actually to me. This is Sylvia talking.
Yeah, I can send it to you. It's basically a very reduced version of Mary's report, but I'll send that.
Yeah, just so I don't make a mistake and put, you know, the wrong numbers in or anything. Because the only thing I have to go on is just listening today. So that'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
And Mary, if your report has a lot of numbers and things in it, it'd be super if you'd send it to me. Can't hear ya. Can't hear ya.
Oh, sorry. I didn't realize it was turned off. What I did was just revise a few numbers in Aaron's report and send it back to him. So when he sends you that, you'll get, it's the same
Okay,
report.
Aaron's report will be fine then, as long as I get some accurate numbers. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I was going to say the endowment was higher than I thought, so that's good.
Well, it was higher at the end of December, but of course, you know, the stock market's down, and we expect it. I didn't think that was bad given the stock market right now. So.
So in terms of, since this is a general business meeting, I'm not going to put down all the names of people. I mean, you know, if this were in the best of all possible worlds, we'd be sitting in a big, you know, room, and I'm not going to do a count, and I'm not going to put down every name that I see coming in. Does that sound okay for y'all? It's consistent.
That's fine, Sylvia, and also it will keep track in the system, and I can download an attendance report when we're done.
Okay, that attendance report may not look real. It may look a little sparse, but c'est la vie. It's the way of the world. And Meredith and whoever is speaking, if someone makes a comment or makes a motion, be sure that their names are clear, that whoever is in charge of that particular aspect of the agenda, that you note the names. Is that okay?
Yes, and you remind us if we mess up.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it, Meredith.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. I think we might give it just another minute to see if other folks come. But I'm glad to see so many of you here. Welcome. All right, I want to be careful about time and make sure that we respect the time that we've got set, so I'm going to get started. Welcome, I'm Meredith McCarroll, and I know some of you, but probably not all of you, and this is my last act as president of Appalachian Studies Association. And I'm really excited to be able to take a moment to reflect on what this role has been for me and what this past year, what I've focused on in this past year. So I stepped into this role out of some discomfort and some worry about the ways that I found this organization so welcoming and affirming to me. And I knew that that wasn't the case for everyone. And so at a time when many of us were really paying attention to perspectives of those who are often ignored, I was noticing the ways that the space could be extended and this organization could be attentive to a broader group of people. And so that's what led me to lean in and get more involved in ASA. So when I started my position as president, and I was lucky to be the first president without the obligation of planning and hosting a conference, which is very important, which allowed me to work on these things. I set a few goals. And so as I was reflecting on these goals, they kind of formed a metaphor. So hopefully you'll stick with me on this. So the first thing that I was thinking about was, what can we learn from those who are not already at the table? And so in order to ask that question, what I did was really quiet, slow, steady work of listening to people, of calling people up, of setting up meetings, and then just asking questions and paying attention. So I reached out and had conversations with constituents like our friends at the Highlander Center, the Appalachian Community Fund, a lot of different organizations that I knew had been connected to ASA, but inconsistently, and just kind of checked in with them. And I thought that I would go to them and say, okay, here we are, how can we partner with you? And I had a series of conversations that taught me to slow down and not get ahead of myself. And one of those conversations was with the heads of the Highlander Center, when Ashley Howard said to me, she basically made clear that I was asking the wrong question, that the question was not, how can I help you? How can we partner? The question needed to be, how can I build your trust? How can ASA build your trust? And Ashley said that trust is built when you do what you say you will do over and over and over and over. And I heard that, and there was no way not to hear that and to really take in this advice that building trust takes time, and that was going to be the primary work of my time at ASA, to begin that work of building trust. And so that was part of this learning from those people who were not at the table. Then I wanted to call in more voices to join the conversation, pull up a chair to the table. And so with the steering committee and the support from ASA, we worked to do several things along these lines. We established and supported a DEI committee, and not only having a separate committee, but what we did over this past year was making sure that there were representatives from the DEI committee across all committees within ASA. A really exciting thing for me that you'll hear me talk more about is that I invited Ricardo Nazario Colon to become involved in the organization, and he agreed to serve as vice president, meaning that he's incoming president today. And then we also continued outreach that explicitly centered BIPOC voices. So you'll hear a little bit about some of that work later in the meeting. We established a Race in Appalachia initiative and had an inaugural conversation that was well attended. There was a lot of excitement around that panel conversation. And then we created with Berea College, a Berea-sponsored fellowship that will oversee this Race in Appalachia initiative. So we're trying to make sure that we are lifting up voices and also passing around the mic so that more people get to be a part of the conversation. And then I guess the way to think more about this table metaphor is that it became clear that we also needed to get some new legs on that table. We needed to firm it up and look at the stability of the organization. And so we focused on fundraising to make the organization more financially sound. You've probably heard us talk about the impact that the past couple of years had on the organization fiscally, and you'll hear more from our treasurer about that. But we spent a lot of time, and I spent some good time focusing on fundraising, thinking about ways to diversify our income sources, and working toward the creation of institutional memberships that you'll hear more about as those get stabilized. They're still in the works. And part of this thinking about the foundation here also has to do with an assessment of the organizational structure, making sure that what we're doing and the way that we're organized is effective. And so that is ongoing work and certainly will continue. But that's really what I did. Meant that I was mostly backstage. It was a very quiet sort of leadership. But I did a lot of watching, a lot of listening in. And I've also tried to lift up and hold accountable this organization that I really believe in. I end this term feeling a balance of optimism and determination. I believe that this organization and the roles that it serves for so many are strong and are important. And I'm determined to continue the work to stabilize, hold accountable, and evolve so that ASA can be the best that it can be. And I'm really excited in this business meeting today to be able to step back and look at what we just accomplished with the recent conference, where we are financially, and then look ahead to both planning the next conference, but also planning some things over the next year and thinking about the new folks who will be involved in leadership roles. So thank you for all the support this past year, and I am very excited to pass it along and leave it in good hands. I'll turn now to think about the conference that hopefully many of you were able to attend. It was wonderful for so many of us to be back together, and I want to take a moment here. You know, normally we would have this business meeting at the conference, and we will return to that. But for the with the COVID, we weren't quite sure how to handle that. So I want to take a moment now to formally thank the planning committee of Natalie Seipolt, Travis Steimling, Melanie Page, Rosemary Hathaway, Beth Nardella, and Audra Slocum, who did so much work to make that conference such a success. And I think we'll hear more about that when I pass this along to Mary Thomas for her report from the executive director.
Meredith. Well, first I want to thank the planning committee at WVU who took the risk of forging ahead with an in-person conference when we still were in a pandemic. We had a very successful conference at WVU. Our attendance was, right now my count is 669 people. Over that many people were on the premises and enjoying the conference. We had 37 vendors that were in the exhibit hall and at the makers table, and we had a lot of good reports from our members that this was one of their favorite conferences to attend ever. So without the help of Melanie Page and Natalie Seipolt and Travis Steimling and Beth Nardella, as well as all the staff, faculty, and students that helped pull that conference off, we just owe them a big round of applause for that. It was a very successful conference. Were we going to, Meredith, Natalie, was anyone here from the 2022 conference, anybody to talk about it, or?
I'll open it up if anyone is. I'm not seeing Natalie here.
All right. I will say this, and I think then that'll lead into Aaron's financial status report, that going into this conference back in July, I had projected for the first time that going into the next fiscal year, ASA would be short about $43,000 to meet all of its expense in the 22-23 fiscal year. And this conference was so successful with that large of an attendance. Normally, we would expect to see in the last so many years, between 8 and 1,000 people. But to still be in the middle of a pandemic and to have 669 people, and there were probably more than that. That's just the ones we've been able to count so far. To see that many people to come back together and to pay conference registration means that we were able to shave that shortage of about $43,000 down to just about $10,500. And why that's so important is that we were really in danger of having to lay off staff because we would have to depend potentially on revenues from next year to even get as far as the conference. So because that 2022 was so successful, we can certainly make it through until revenues from the 2023 conference come in. Now, that doesn't mean we are still not in a precarious financial situation because, as I said before, this is the first time we didn't have enough money to cover all the next fiscal year expenses and into the fiscal year after that. So we have done some fundraising activities and we'll need to be talking about more of those. But for right now, nobody's in danger of being laid off as far as I know. Okay, so that's all I have. So
okay, great. Thanks, Mary.
Aaron's report.
Yeah, Aaron, to you.
Great, thank you so much, Mary and Meredith. Yeah, so I think the main takeaway, if I was to give a one sentence summary, is things are good, but we need $11,000. But to go into a bit more detail, to hit the highlights, we continue to face challenges related to COVID-19 like many organizations do. And, economists are predicting that nonprofits like ours will continue to see direct effects from COVID till probably financial year 2025. The cancellation of our conference and the kind of modification of our conferences have resulted in some budget shortfalls, but we've been able to weather them in large part to date due to our savings and our revenue that we have, rather than we've always put money aside for a rainy day, and it just so happened that rainy day finally came. We have passed, we had our 2018 and 2019 audit and our 2019 and 2020 audit through Marshall Service Learning students who we work with. In both instances, we passed. They did make some minor recommendations on how we use some of our tools, but we passed and everything was accounted for. So we continue to be excellent stewards of the money. Yes, Mary, would you like to add something there? Oh, I think you're on mute.
Sorry. I just want to point out that those are not actual audits by a CPA, that those are considered to be financial reviews to make sure that we're not making any material misstatements in our financial records. However, because we are Marshall University Research Corps is our fiscal agent, they are audited annually. So our funds get audited on that end of things, and that's a real audit.
Yes, thank you for that. I would also just like to add that we have invested we do have an endowment established with the Foundation for Appalachian Ohio. Following up from last year's business meeting, we can say that we do have total gift investments of $44,000. A little over $44,000 as of today. With the economy, the market value's about $43,385, but we expect it to go back up. And we have made, we are preparing to move this year's contributions to the endowment in the amount of I think of our 19 to 20 fiscal year, we moved 3,210, and we will be transferring an additional 2,300 this year following vote. This does not include our general registration scholarships, which we still have we have a small amount of money, about $1,000 in that we will work to replenish, as well as our BIPOC registration conference scholarships, which we currently have 1925 on hand. As Mary said, to give you, kind of just a brief overview, and we're happy to talk about this. Revenue this year was down. It was about 26,000. Our expenditures, however, remained the same. Luckily, about 138,000, which gives us a non-adjusted difference. And this might be the part where some of you blank out, which gives us a negative adjusted balance of a negative $112,000 for the year. However, we were able to transfer money from savings to address that shortfall, and we are going into we've gone into the new financial year as of July 1st, 2021, with cash, a fair amount of cash on hand of 147,000, which we will then use to help us transition into the new financial year. As Mary said, we do have about a $10,000 gap that we're working on closing. However, we have reduced, thanks to the conference, we have reduced that tremendously, and look to be in fairly good financial health going forward. This does mean that moving forward, we will need to work to rebuild our savings so that if should another rainy day ever come, we're prepared to weather that. But really, thanks to the financial planning of the committees and treasurers and Mary and everyone who came before, we were able to get through this year and the pandemic to the best of our ability. That is all I have. Yes, Mary.
It's not my computer, I'm sorry. I just wanted to mention that I will be updating BIPOC and the general scholarships in Appalachia in the fall, that we had a silent auction that raised about $3,500, around that, for general scholarships, and we have had additional BIPOC, so our numbers have changed since this report in the fall, but you all can see that in Appalachia this upcoming fall. And that the other thing is, we don't really have a savings account, but we have one general account, and that's where our cushion resided until we spent it down with the pandemic.
Yeah,
that's all.
Thank you so much, and that is all I have for the treasurer's report, unless there's anything else.
Thank you, Aaron. All right, and now we are going to pass to our Vice President, Ricardo Nazario Colon, who will give us the election results.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
This election, we received a total of 46 votes. Each candidate received 46 votes for their positions. Travis Roundtree received 46 votes for Vice President, and Sylvia Sherber received 46 votes for Secretary position. Those were the two, and the y'all position. Sorry. Zane? I'm missing.
No, Maxwell, Chloe.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I had it here and it left. So all three candidates received 46 votes in total. So as you can see, we will need to do a lot more work in getting the organization engaged in the voting process. And that is the end of my report.
Okay, thank you, Ricardo. All right, so I wanted to talk a little bit about some upcoming events and invitations. Mostly this is more of a heads up to let you know some of the ways that we're working to extend outreach throughout the year. So this is an organization that is very focused on an annual conference. And in the past couple of years, we experienced both the financial impact of not having that conference, but I think we also experienced an impact in the loss of community, the loss of being able to connect and learn from one another. And so Ricardo and I have spent a lot of time thinking about ways that we can connect outside of that conference. And so I wanted to just talk a little bit about some of those, and also just extend a very general invitation that if you have ideas about other events, then certainly reach out to either me, I will still be around, or to Ricardo or Travis Roundtree. So one thing that we're bringing back is directors meetings. So some of you may remember that there used to be a directors meeting at the annual conference. And as I did a lot of conversations with directors of Appalachian Studies programs or chairs of those departments, thinking about institutional membership and trying to get a sense of, would that actually be a way forward? Is that something that would be useful, that would help our organization know that we can count on a certain amount of funding from institutions, but would also help institutions be able to support the students that they bring to the conferences? One of the things that emerged was a real desire to have ongoing connection among directors and chairs of Appalachian Studies programs and departments. And so that will be returning. So we'll have, we're looking at quarterly meetings. 3 of those would be remote, and then 1 would take place at the conference. And the structure that we've been talking about is having a rotating facilitator. So not a real hefty lift, but just asking people to host virtually and get some conversation going. And so for some of you, this will be relevant, and you can look for more information there. The other thing that we've been doing, and we haven't quite settled on the right name, we've been calling them meetups, and maybe that's the name we will continue to use, but we've been building some virtual events. Some of you may have been able to participate in some of these. So we kind of got kicked off with Catherine Ledford led a International Mountains Day event that was really well attended by people all over the world. It was a really exciting online event that was, really a conference with a conversation and breakout rooms. So that showed us that people are hungry to connect. They're eager to join, even in this virtual way. And so following that, Ricardo and I launched a Race in Appalachia initiative. And at that inaugural meeting, we had 6 panelists who spoke a little bit about the work that they're doing in the around race in Appalachia. And we had 341 registrants and nearly 200 participants. So it was a huge success, and we want to build on that. So one event that we have upcoming will be a virtual reading from Zane McNeil's edited collection, Y'all Means All. Some of you may have heard some readings from that collection at the conference. So look for that. We'll be in touch about that. But I point this out because if you have ideas of events that make sense to have connected to ASA, then please do let us know. The last thing I wanted to mention is that this Race in Appalachia initiative that I have alluded to, we had this inaugural event, and it was such a success that we want to keep these conversations ongoing. And this is part of what I intended when I stepped into the role as president, is that I wanted to continue to center BIPOC voices. And so there is so much work going on in Appalachia, and so much good work around complicating this homogeneous depiction of Appalachia as an all-white space. And so this Race in Appalachia initiative is going to be an ongoing program. We just were lucky to receive funding from Berea College, with thanks to Chris Green, who will be funding a fellow, a to-be-named fellow. The name of the fellowship is to be named, also the individual. We have not determined yet. So there will be a call that goes out to invite folks to apply for this fellowship. And essentially, there will be some funding that fellow can use to invite in people who are doing the work that is of interest to them, to invite them into conversations, to have a stipend to give to them. And then we're imagining that this will rotate yearly, and we'll get to hear a lot of different voices. So if you know of people who should be considering that fellowship, please be thinking of that and watch for a call for that fellowship that will be forthcoming, but also feel free to reach out to me if you have ideas of people who would be good for the fellowship or should be a part of these conversations about race in Appalachia. So that's some of the stuff that's coming up. I realize it's all a little bit vague right now, but I think we're still in the processing from the conference mode, and soon we'll start to get some details down. Okay. We do not have Tiffany Arnold with us, and so Ann Bryant is going to offer some updates on the next conference at Ohio University.
Yes. Hi all. Tiffany and Michelle couldn't be here today, but they sent me some notes, and we actually had met with them earlier this week about the upcoming conference because we're already deep in planning for it. The dates are going to be March 16th through 19th of next year. The theme is Appalachia Fest, from surviving to thriving. They are already planning so many awesome events, including a fun run, some tours at the local asylum, mine drainage site, a Black History tour, possible meet and greet with their local roller derby team, a health and wellness fair, because their big focus for this conference is going to be health and wellness. And that's about all they have right now, but the planning is going really well, and we're so excited to be able to be in person again at OU.
Yes.
So.
All right, great. We're moving right along. So this next part is the passing of the compass, and we wish that we were together to do this more formally, but we will make the most of it now. So I'm going to focus first on the new president of the organization and want to introduce you a little bit more formally to Ricardo, who I have alluded to and who you've already heard from, but I want to tell you a little bit more about your new leader. So I came to know Ricardo in 2009 when I interviewed him as a part of a project on the Appalachian poets. And at the time, I just really liked him. I thought he was funny. I knew that he was smart and enjoyed talking to him. And I had no idea that all these years later, we would reconnect in such an important way that has taught me about trust, has taught me about communication, and has taught me about systems and organizations. I have learned so much from working alongside him as vice president in this past year, and I look forward to all that I am going to continue to learn and the guidance that he's going to offer as president of ASA. So Dr. Ricardo Nazario Colon is the inaugural Chief Diversity Officer and Inclusive Executive at Western Carolina University. He was the former chair of the University of North Carolina System Diversity and Inclusion Council and the Governor's Advisory Council on Hispanic Latino Affairs. Ricardo was born in the Bronx and raised in Puerto Rico and New York. He earned a bachelor's in Spanish Literature and Latin American Studies from the University of Kentucky, and I believe it was then that you participated in co-founding the Appalachian Poets. Is my timeline right? Okay. Ricardo went on to earn a master's in secondary education from Pace University and recently a doctorate in higher education leadership from Western Carolina University. Ricardo is a former U.S. Marine, a life member of Phi Beta Sigma fraternity. As I mentioned, he's co-founder of the Appalachian Poets and has nurtured a long career as a poet among all of these other things that he's been kept going. His forthcoming books under contract are The More of the Bronx with Finishing Line Press, due out this year, and Latinx Voices in Appalachia with the University Press of Kentucky, tentatively dated 2024. His research focuses on Black culture centers, multiracial identity experience, student leadership development, and African American faculty and staff retention. We are all very lucky to have Ricardo join us in this position, and I am lucky to call him a friend. So thank you. And if we could unmute and just welcome and clap and acknowledge that Ricardo is our new president. And we are going to we're going to formally pass the compass in a way that we haven't, that I know of, in the past. So I am going to find the right document. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to read an oath and ask Ricardo to repeat after me. So normally I would ask you, Ricardo Nazario Colon, to rise and approach. You can do your version of that at your computer. Excellent. You have been constitutionally elected president of the Appalachian Studies Association. It will be your duty to preside at meetings, enforce the association's bylaws impartially, and function in every respect as the Appalachian Studies Association Chief Executive Officer. You shall authorize all expenditures of the association's funds upon approval of the steering committee. It will be your duty to guide the officers and chairs in developing the association's aims and objectives. You're charged with the responsibility for the proper functioning of all committees. Ricardo Nazario Colon, you should at all times be watchful for activities, projects, and programs that will be helpful to your officers, committee chairs, members, and the community as a whole. You must become familiar with Robert's Rules of Order and association's bylaws. And the last analysis, the ultimate success of this association rests in your hands. Ricardo Nazario Colon, are you prepared to take the oath of office as the 46th president of the Appalachian Studies Association?
I am.
Okay. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me the oath of office. In the presence of honored guests and the members here assembled,
In the presence of honored guests and the members here assembled,
I, Ricardo Nazario Colon, do solemnly promise and pledge
I, Ricardo Nazario Colon, do solemnly promise and pledge
that I will faithfully execute the duties of President of the Appalachian Studies Association
that I will faithfully execute the duties of President of the Appalachian Studies Association
to the best of my knowledge and ability,
to the best of my knowledge and ability,
to commit myself to the association's code of ethics,
to commit myself to the association's code of ethics,
further the objectives of this association,
further the objectives of this association,
and assume full responsibility for this honorable association.
and assume full responsibility for this honor association.
By the authority vested in me by the Appalachian Studies Association, I now proclaim you duly installed as president of the Appalachian Studies Association. Congratulations on your election.
Thank you.
Bravo.
Okay, and I think, Ricardo, is your plan to install the other officers? Is that right?
I can, or you can,
Okay.
their officers. I can. So, thank you, Meredith. And thank you, everybody, for being witness today to this changing of the guard. And I look forward to being in service to all of you. As my first act, I'd like to install the recently elected officers and those of us who are transitioning. So for Vice President and Secretary, we have Travis Roundtree and Sylvia Sherbert. So in your own version, would you please rise and approach? All right.
So this is Sylvia, and for some reason my camera won't come on, but use your imagination. I probably look better in the imagination than on this crazy Zoom. But I'm standing now.
That is okay. So would you please just listen and follow as best as you all can. The respective offices are important posts. It will be your responsibility to conduct the duties as are specifically prescribed in the association's bylaws. It will be best if you immediately familiarize yourself with the rules of parliamentary procedure and the bylaws of the Appalachian Studies Association. Are you prepared to take the oath of office of the Appalachian Studies Association?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me the oath of office. In the presence of this company here assembled,
in the presence of this company here assembled,
I state your name,
I, Travis Roundtree,
I, Sylvia Sherbet,
do solemnly promise and pledge
do solemnly promise and pledge
that I will faithfully discharge the duties of your respected office
that I will faithfully discharge the duties of secretary
Vice President, yeah,
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
I now congratulate you on your election.
Thank you, Ricardo.
Thank you.
So one of the things that has happened is that we now have an immediate past president. So I'd like to also administer an oath of office for our new immediate past president, Meredith McCarroll. Please rise and approach. The office of the immediate past president is an important post. Having served as president, you are aware of the commitments to the fundamental goals of the organization and shall provide advice to the president. It will be your duty to represent as such, to conduct the duties as are specifically prescribed in the association's bylaws. Are you prepared to take the oath of immediate past president of the Appalachian Studies Association?
I am.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me the oath of office. In the presence of this company here assembled,
In the presence of this company here assembled,
I, Meredith McCarroll,
I, Meredith McCarroll,
do solemnly promise and pledge
do solemnly promise and pledge
that I will faithfully discharge the duties of immediate past president
that I will faithfully discharge the duties of immediate past president
to the best of my ability and knowledge.
to the best of my ability and knowledge.
I congratulate you on your position.
Thank you.
All right. No, we introduced this oath because it is so important to let the membership know here present and the membership that is not present that these leadership positions are extremely important and they are an honorable pledge of our service to the community, to the vision of the founders of the organization dating back to the 1970s, and everybody who has been connected to the organization in the last 45 years. So I felt that it was important for us to consider that for these types of positions, that we truly formalize our commitment to service and to elevate these positions and our commitment to the membership as they need to be. So for that reason, you are seeing this kind of formal approach that you'll see in other organizations, and it can be seen as stuffy, but it is such an important part of our commitment to you all and what we hope to accomplish in the near future. At this point, I guess I get to address a little bit the group before we end our meeting. But I've had a meeting with the executive leadership, and one of the things that I mentioned to the executive leadership is that I want to commit myself over the next year to the organizational structure of this association. And part of it is because, you know, in running the election and seeing the level of engagement that we receive, I said to myself, we need to do something to get more people engaged in the organization and bringing it back to the beginning where the visionaries of the organization saw the need for the study of the culture, for the engagement of the community, for making changes in the region. So part of my goal is to ensure that the structures of the organization are balanced so that the national headquarters over in Marshall are able to do the work that they need to do, and that the executive body is a working group that is going to deliver to the membership. So my pledge to you over the next year is that we are going to improve the organization to ensure that the members receive a value proposition. We want you to not only look forward to the conference every year, which is a great place to connect and share knowledge and share activities and talk about the changes that we can accomplish in the region, but also to look forward to everything that we can do in between conferences, that we provide additional services and benefits to everybody, that you get your money's worth, that you get your mileage worth. Some of us travel quite far to attend the conference, and we want to make sure that it is all worth it for you. So that is my pledge to you. I will continue some of the initiatives that Meredith mentioned. Her and I and Travis and the rest of the executive team and the national headquarters will work together to put in these new initiatives. We will work with Aaron and all of the individuals at the national headquarters to also ensure that we have a sustainable organization, that our financial position gets back in the black, and that we're able to put away reserves and to ensure that we are fiscally responsible for you, because we are managing your investment in the organization. So that is my pledge to you. I look forward to the time that I will be spending in this position and getting to know all of you. My contact information will be available. We will soon, hopefully, before the summer enters, we'll be rolling out the new website that we have been working on diligently under Meredith leadership and with the volunteer service that we've been getting from the members. You should be proud of this new website, and it'll really raise our profile, and I look forward to being part of that. So with that said, I am done, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn unless we have any comments or announcements to make.
Thank you, Ricardo. I'm jumping back in to bring everyone's attention to the announcement that Catherine Engel just posted, that the Education Committee is also holding virtual teaching chats. And so the link there gives you information about that upcoming event. The first one is on April 27th. And I was asked to announce that and I forgot. So please do take a minute to look at the chat there. Sorry about that.
Great.
Any other announcements or questions?
Meredith,
To adjourn, if not.
We have
Yes,
some.
I'm sorry. Is it appropriate for me to kind of introduce myself?
Yes.
That's a
Okay.
great idea.
Okay. I was going to come in and just say, "Hey, everybody," and blah blah blah, but I didn't, and I should have. I'm Cicero Fain. I'm the Marshall University liaison to the ASA. Just came on board in August, and I'm working diligently with Mary and Ann to improve Marshall's involvement and engagement with ASA, and hopefully we got some good things percolating. And I'm delighted to be here and join with you folks to continue the mission. So thank you, and look forward to getting to know you all a little better.
Thank you, Cicero, and thank you for the work that you have graciously agreed to do on behalf of the Appalachian Studies Association.
You're welcome, Ricardo.
I'll jump in too. I'm new to the group. I'm Kathleen Byrne. I'm the new development director at Appaleshop. And so I just wanted to kind of join and get to know you all a little bit more and see how I can become more involved. So feel free to reach out to me.
We will, Kathleen, we will. Other announcements? Okay, seeing none, hearing none. We stand adjourned.
Thank you. Take care,
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody.
Bye, everybody.
This is a quick question to Ricardo and Meredith. Don't go quite yet. This is Sylvia.
Okay.
So just wanted to, I think it would be a great idea. Thank you very much for doing the oaths. I love that. I think that's the first time we've ever done that. And I've been doing this conference and this association for about 20 years. So it's really great. And I think it was very meaningful. It's important. I would like to put the, not necessarily the oaths in there, but you had Meredith, for example, I think it's really important, a description of Ricardo's tasks. And I think that needs to go in the minutes and to be part of, you know, that was specified. And I think that would be really good to have that in the minutes. Would you be okay with sending me that? And Ricardo, anything that you want in terms of those oaths, if you all want them in the minutes, I'll be happy to put those in the minutes. I think they're really good. And the minutes is our record of what we have said we're going to do.
Yeah, so you know, the oaths are kind of sacred, so oftentimes they're not public consumption, but
don't have to put the oaths in, but I think it's a good idea. Meredith, what do you think? To have the description of what the president does.
yeah, definitely that.
Yeah, let's do that then. That's great.
And I wonder too, no one wants to watch this business meeting on Facebook, but I wondered, since this is being recorded, if there is a way to capture just that.
The recording?
Yeah, I can edit the film and just do like the introduction, like a smaller version of it. And then, you know, like if you want, Ricardo, if you want to like do a welcome message for the new officers, and Meredith, something welcoming Ricardo, type it up, then we could share those videos of each person or something. So I can cut the video however we need. And then we'll just keep the full thing on the website if people want to watch the full thing. But on social media, we could do clips.
The other thing that I would really love to have in the minutes, Meredith, I tried to catch as much as I could, and I know a lot about Ricardo anyway, but I'd love to have, you had a really good succinct introduction of him, and I'd love to have that to put in the minutes as well. Would that be okay?
Good with me. Good with you, Ricardo?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Well, thank you all. And I'll be looking for those things to be sent to me, and I'll have the minutes ready in a couple of days.
All right.
Thanks
everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Congrats, Ricardo.
Ann and Mary, y'all have a good trip.
Check your mail
Fun.
soon. Hey, you
Good
never sent me your
vacations.
address.
Ta-ta, everybody.
Call me.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.